Hello, my name is Sasha Twining and I'm bringing you a flavour of some of the people here at Flame 2016. We're here in Amsterdam. Joining me now is Tom Maes. Now, Tom is the Vice Chairman of the Gas Working Group, CEER. Now, we're going to talk about the Tariff Network Code. This is the last remaining thing that was from a list of legislation, regulation that was to be introduced back in 2009. We're now 2016. Why has it taken so long?
Well, yeah, there are a number of reasons, of course, and basically three. First of all, stakeholders have grown their interest in this network codes. First, they thought it was only about technical rules, but since then they have realized that it is about European regulations, which can have a disruptive effect on their business. So over time, they have grown their interest in particularly the Tariff Network Code, because that's the second reason. It's all about money. And while it's a zero-sum game, nobody likes to pay more. And yeah, tariffs is really the heart of the business. It can make or break your deal. And the third reason is that because it has taken so long already, a number of unforeseen events have taken place. They have hit the key stakeholders involved, ACER, the Commission and NSOC. And debates have been reopened after they were closed in the first phase. So that's why, in the end, yeah, it has taken more than 3 years, in fact.
Well, so in fact, it's time has been the enemy of them as well, because it has taken so long. It's all changed. The world has changed. The
world has changed, and indeed, when in the beginning players were advocating to secure their contracts, now everybody wants to get rid of their long-term contracts. So that's really a dramatic change over time, since the beginning up until now.
Well, you say a dramatic change over time. This is not very long that we're looking at. The industry has changed so very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's right. So gas business is rapidly changing, not only because of legal change in the legal framework, also because of change in the business itself. LNG is now coming to Europe from the US. We have had the shale gas revolution. So a lot of things have happened both inside the business and also on the legal front.
And you have people at the meantime sort of looking at sort of tariffs and thinking, well, this no longer fits. I mean, this is where do we go from here?
Exactly. So we have had already a previous network code, the CAM network code, capacity allocation management. And that is like in any other business, basically the product list. And to that has to be added a price list. So that is what the tariff code is all about, to make it clear that for each and every service there is also a very clear tariff set.
So what do you think are the last stumbling blocks? What have we got to get over now?
Well, it has been already a long process, and now it's up to the member states. So the countries themselves, which are gathering together with the European Commission, have to do a vote. It's planned for mid-September, and although they had already a few meetings, informal member state meetings, now there are still 5 stumbling blocks that they need to overcome. First of all, we have the asset cost split, which is basically going back to the past, installing a separate regime for transit flows. So that's a big issue. A second issue is about the ACER review. So we have an agency, ACER, which is based in Ljubljana, and which would need to check or review what the national regulatory authorities do in each country. So that's also a very sensitive point for the member states. The third point is about the discounts to and from storage facilities, which is also kind of changing the rules as we know them today. Fourth reason is the pricing of backhaul. So for security of supply reasons, we have always been in favor of a marginal cost approach, but of course for investments and the other customers who do the forward flow, this is not really something they happy to see. And the fifth reason, and that's always the case for each and every legislation, is the entry of into force. So The Commission wants to complete the internal energy market as soon as possible, while the member states, when they need to implement all these rules on a national level, they try to relax a little bit.
Yeah, what sort of time span could you put on it? What do you think is feasible or possible?
Well, yeah, they plan to have it voted by the end of the year, and that's still the aim, although it won't be published then by the end of the year. So the first implementation date would be about spring next year, 2017.
And that is, of course, if everyone agrees. And
That's indeed, and still 1 year of entry into force is really challenging to do all the national work, the work on the ground, the implementation. It's really a challenge.
And all the issues, those 5 issues that you mentioned, they were all big, weighty issues that need to be overcome.
It's the final issues, but still. The last bit is the most heavy, I would say. So it's still important, and a lot of talks need to be going on between the member states and the Commission. It's kind of negotiation, and 28 countries to vote on such a piece of legislation. It's an enormous task.
Which one, if you could pick out of the 5, which one do you think is the most contentious?
Well, for the member states, it's about the entry into force, because they have to explain to their own ministry, to their own government, why there are new rules coming from Brussels, and that's always a difficult challenge. And although it's a formal reason, it's not on the substance itself. It might be the last stumbling block. Although, in my opinion, the asset cost split is the most important thing to decide upon, because we are really now at the cross point. Do we want to go back to the past, where we had a point-to-point system and we had a separate regime for transit flows? Or do we really want to have this unique entry-exit system where there is no differentiation made between domestic flows and cross-border flows?
And that is what you would advocate?
Yeah, indeed.
You sound very positive.
Yeah.
So when you look post-September, and to be honest, there's a lot of things that even now, in the way the industry has changed, there's a lot of things that could change between now and September anyway.
Yeah.
And then something coming into force maybe over the next 18 months after that. How confident are you that, let's say, we could be standing here in 18 months' time and you could have a big smile on your face and say, everything got through, we're looking at a healthy future? Well,
certainly, since as you mentioned, it's the last network code in a series of already 5, 6 that we have developed. So it's really a milestone if we get to this one, to achieve this one as well. And I would say that that's really a point where we can say we have, from a formal point of view, completed the EU internal gas market. Although the effects to be noticed on the ground, it will take some more time. For network users, that they really have the benefits of all this code, increased transparency, that they pay the tariff according to the cost they generate, no discrimination between users of the same service. All these kind of things, it will take some time, and I guess a year or 2 before it's really noticeable on the ground.
And of course, between now and September as well, we have a certain vote in a certain member state. The UK has its own referendum vote on Brexit, as it's being called, in June. You're smiling. This is obviously something that you have spent many hours thinking about.
UK, of course, it's not a big fan of new rules in general, and certainly not if they are coming from the European Commission. So they really need a strong case to defend at home, a good problem analysis, a good impact assessment, and in fact that's the little thing that's still missing, because member states for the moment, they have seen a draft legislative proposal, but they haven't seen the impact assessment yet.
And it is that, or it's actually domestic politics which could really play into this more than actually the legislation itself. It is.
Although network codes in general, they are focusing on cross-border issues, on market integration issues. So they are really tackling the issues that go beyond the national issues themselves. Also, in the scope of this Tariff Network Code, it is not about setting prices for domestic end consumers. It is really about the major crossroads, the major highways between the hubs in all different countries, and to have a harmonized price setting mechanism set for those things, not for national issues.
When I asked you about the timescale, you were sort of talking about maybe a couple of years to bed in if all goes to plan, and then we'd sort of like start seeing where we were. Let's take you then to where would you like to go? 2020, 2019? Yeah. What sort of market do you see then?
I think that's really a good point in time where we can draw up a balance of what we have achieved, not only about this Tariff Network Code because it's the last one, but also about all the previous ones. We had congestion management procedures, we had balancing tariff network code, we had capacity allocation network code, interoperability. So a lot of codes have been developed already in the recent past, and by 2020 I think we can really see the effects of all of them, and it's not the effect of each single, but the combined effect of all will be visible by 2020, and that's exactly the era which starts today, or which will start in September, I would say. Now that we have developed the codes, it's about monitoring the effects, the functionality of those codes, and eventually amend them. But I would say that's not the immediate focus. The immediate focus is now on implementation.
Yeah, finally, let's just widen it out a little bit, because everyone here this week, here in Amsterdam at Flame 2016, talking about the future of the industry and agreeing it's in a very, should we say, interesting time at the moment. I just wonder what your wider thoughts were, if you would like to care to share with us.
Well, I think for gas business, and especially in Europe, we are entering a very interesting phase. It's a kind of a window of opportunity that we now see, because there is a lot of LNG flooding all over the world, also coming to Europe, and gas prices they have been dramatically decreased over time. So 50% decrease since 2 years. So that's an enormous window of opportunity for the gas business to emerge and to grasp all the opportunities that present themselves today. Because what's the general expectation, and my personal opinion as well, that oil prices will increase more rapidly than gas prices. So we will have a competitive advantage over, let's say, 5 coming years, and which we should really take care of and use to grow the business back from pre-crisis levels.
So basically it's waiting to see that moment and grasping that opportunity when it happens. You seem quite positive.
Yeah. It's of course the Flame conference, and we are all gas believers, so that's it.
You're going to be positive. It's a very nice place to enter. Tom, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your conference here in Amsterdam. Thank you.
Pleasure, thank you.